Welcome, kind viewers, to another delightful journey back to the golden age of cinema, where the dance of light and shadow could transform a dusty frontier town into a legend. Here at Quality Silent Films, we're pulling back the curtain once more on the world's earliest storytellers, who managed to evoke deep emotions without uttering a single word, yet filled the screen with themes of bravery, love, and redemption. Picture this: the year is 1913, a time caught between horse-drawn carriages and the roar of automobiles. The Woolworth Building has just reached for the sky, becoming the tallest skyscraper in the world, while Grand Central Terminal flings open its marble doors to a bustling New York. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Paris is alive with the novel beats of The Rite of Spring. In this whirlwind of innovation and change, audiences flocked to small-town theaters to experience short films that captured the very essence of America's frontier spirit. One shining example is The Sheriff of Stone Gulch, directed by Pat Hartigan, a dedicated filmmaker who often took center stage himself. This was a time of raw filmmaking, scenes shot outdoors in the bright sunlight, stories crafted and rehearsed in the morning, filmed by afternoon, and ready for the big screen within a week. Hartigan's cast reads like a who's who of the Kalem Company's Santa Monica troupe: the fearless Ruth Rowland, who would soon reign as a queen of adventure serials, the ambitious young Marshall Nealon, already dreaming of directing his own features, and Vincente Howard, whose strong presence often lent a quiet authority to these early westerns. Together, they wove a tight narrative of frontier justice and human decency, a theme as timeless as the setting sun. The story, while short by today's standards, carries a lot of weight. It features a sheriff's daughter, a man wrongfully accused, and a clever outlaw, all tangled up in a web of suspicion and moral dilemmas. But if you look a little deeper, there's a powerful message: truth can be incredibly fragile when fear and gossip take over. Each scene and every expression serves as a reminder that justice has never been a straightforward journey. Even now, over 100 years later, we're still grappling with issues of trust, fairness, and the bravery it takes to stand up for what's right. Another thread runs through the film, embodied by Ruth Rowland's character. She's not your typical damsel in distress. Instead, she's a spirited young woman who actively seeks the truth. That spark of independence feels surprisingly modern. Watching her take charge with determination, you can almost feel the early stirrings of change, echoes of the strength that would later empower generations of women both on and off the screen. The Sheriff of Stone Gulch also paints a vivid picture of frontier life, captured in the stark contrasts of dust and daylight. Its wide-open landscapes and tough moral choices reflect an America that's still figuring itself out, still searching for order amid chaos. Maybe that's why these films have such lasting power. They remind us that the frontier was never just a physical place, it was a mindset, a continuous battle between justice, survival, and plain old right and wrong. So, get comfortable and let your mind drift back to that flickering moment in 1913, when a handful of passionate artists came together under the warm California sun to share this story of bravery and honesty. And as the last moments of this fade away, stick around for a deeper dive into the lives of those who created it, their journeys, their challenges, and the mark they left on the world of cinema. Now, let the silence settle in once again. May the shadows of the Sheriff of Stone Gulch transport you to an era when the West was still fresh, justice was deeply personal, and filmmaking was just beginning to find its voice. As the final scene of The Sheriff of Stone Gulch fades into silence, it leaves us with a mood reminiscent of twilight settling over a deserted street in an old frontier town. Dust and tumbleweeds dance in the air where riders once galloped, shadows stretch long and gray across a landscape where justice was never straightforward and bravery came at a cost. It's a quiet, contemplative ending, one that quakes with the echo of a gunshot and the subtle hint of forgiveness. The story stays with you, not as a tired Western cliché, but as a vivid portrayal of honor tested under pressure, where truth finally arrives, a bit late but shining all the more brightly for it. Directed by Pat Hartigan, a New Yorker by birth who infused the Western frontier with working-class grit, his career was a unique mix of action and versatility. Born on December 21, 1881, he started his career in vaudeville before stepping into the motion picture world around 1909. Not only did he direct, but he often took on acting roles in his own films, a necessity in the early days of filmmaking. After his silent film era, Hartigan made a comeback in talkies with smaller roles, even sharing the screen with big names like John Wayne. While he may not have achieved the fame of his contemporaries, his genuine craftsmanship earned him lasting respect in Hollywood. Outside of his film work, Hartigan was known as a dedicated family man and horse lover. His experience as both a director and performer made him a bridge between the frontier heroes he portrayed and the hard-working artists who brought those stories to life. Ruth Rowland, who was born in San Francisco on August 26, 1892, grew up in a family of stage performers and found her way into the film industry as a teenager. By the 1910s, she had become one of Calem's most adventurous actresses, performing many of her own stunts and gaining national recognition in action serials like The Masked Woman and Ruth of the Rockies. She eventually broke barriers by becoming one of the few women to produce her own films, running her company with impressive business acumen at a time when Hollywood rarely granted women such authority. Off-screen, she married actor Ben Bard, and she was well loved for her wit and generosity. Sadly, she passed away too soon in 1937, but her legacy lives on as one of the early icons of female empowerment and athleticism in film. Marshall Nealon, the film's antagonist, had a career that could easily fill the pages of a Hollywood novel. Born in San Bernardino in 1891, he started as an actor at Calem before making a name for himself as one of the most successful directors of the 1910s and 1920s. Nealon had a knack for fast-paced storytelling and creating relatable performances, which led him to collaborate with stars like Mary Pickford and Gloria Swanson. However, his rebellious nature often put him at odds with studio executives, and by the 1930s, his career began to decline. He wore many hats: director, writer, actor, and even found himself in disputes with Hollywood, earning both admiration and frustration. Nealon's name still carries a certain wild charm, a testament to a man who could never quite be tamed by the industry he helped shape. Vincente Howard, the steadfast sheriff we all recognize, is one of those dependable faces from the early westerns. His name might not have lit up the marquee, but his presence was absolutely essential. Born around 1869, he graced the screen in countless silent dramas and westerns during the 1910s and 1920s. He had a knack for playing authority figures, those roles that added a sense of moral weight to stories like this one. While details about his personal life are scarce, trade journals from that era hint that he was a mentor to younger actors at Calem, known for his calm demeanor and professionalism. Among the supporting cast, Pat Hartigan took on a smaller role as a ranch hand, which was quite common in low-budget films. Insider stories from Calem reveal that he would film his own scenes first thing in the morning, then jump behind the camera to direct the rest of the crew before lunch. His swift efficiency made him a favorite among crews who were paid by the reel. Marshall Nealon, who played the outlaw, was already dabbling in directing techniques off-set, often giving Hartigan tips on camera angles that would later shape Nealon's own directing style. The two enjoyed a friendly rivalry that fueled creativity rather than conflict. For both of them, this short film served as a valuable learning experience, a chance to hone their instincts that would ultimately define their future careers. Behind the scenes, The Sheriff of Stone Gulch was shot under the scorching sun at Calem's Santa Monica lot, a simple stretch of land filled with makeshift sets. The actors toiled away without any shade, while the director opted for natural light instead of using lamps. It was like filmmaking turned into an endurance test. Horses were borrowed from nearby ranches, and sometimes the same stretch of dirt road doubled as 3 different towns, all depending on the camera angle. Yet, the results were impressively effective, quick, clear storytelling that today's audiences might label as minimalist, but early viewers found it exhilarating. At a time when most films were shot indoors, the Kalem team's outdoor realism brought a freshness to their westerns that competitors simply couldn't match. Westerns like this one weren't just a form of entertainment, they served as nostalgic reflections, echoing a yearning for moral clarity in a world that was becoming increasingly complicated. The notion that truth can be obscured by rumor, or that courage can bring it back to light, still holds up now, over 100 years later. In that way, the dusty streets of Stone Gulch feel surprisingly close to our own neighborhoods and news feeds. There's not much known about how the film was received back in the day, but the Kalem westerns from that year generally got a thumbs up for their sharp editing and stunning outdoor shots. Exhibitors at the time even listed it in trade catalogs as a solid one-reel western drama with strong action, which shows they had a lot of faith in it. As time went on, it faded into obscurity, but bits of the film survived in private collections until silent film fans rediscovered it in the early 2000s. Nowadays, you can find it in a few digital restorations and silent film DVD collections, with it surviving real in better shape than many others from that same year. There are some interesting details about the production. Ruth Rowland is said to have trained with real lawmen to make her gun skills look authentic. Marshall Nealon reportedly had to improvise a chase scene when a horse took off unexpectedly. Hartigan decided to keep that footage, calling it the most genuine outlaw exit we'll ever capture. The sheriff's office set was actually just a storage shed borrowed from a nearby ranch, and the Kalem crew painted over a real feed and grain sign to save time. During filming, a sudden gust of coastal wind blew away a camera shade, forcing cinematographer George Hollister to hold the tripod steady with both hands while the scene went on. Those chaotic moments gave early silent films their spontaneous energy, part accident, part artistry. Watching it now, over a century later, the sheriff of Stone Gulch reminds us that the silent era wasn't primitive, it was groundbreaking. Every frame is a testament to artists who were inventing their craft on the fly, working with sunlight, dust, and pure instinct. In its short runtime, it captures something vital, the delicate balance between justice and mercy, and the bravery it takes to pursue both. And if there's one takeaway we can all appreciate, it's this: sometimes the most powerful truths come from the quietest voices, or in this case, the ones that don't speak at all. So, keep your hat on, stay true to your values, and maybe steer clear of anyone named Black McCarty if you find yourself in a poker game. We're grateful you spent some time with us at Quality Silent Films, where every flicker from the past shares a story that deserves to be heard again. We hope you enjoyed this adventure through the pioneering spirit of early cinema. Join us next time as we continue to shine a light on classic silent films, bringing you their history, context, and heart, one reel at a time.